Hey, hi everybody. Welcome.
Hello.
Are we in the right place for the video, Jesse? Okay, cool. Hey guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. Nice to see you guys here. So today we have once again a special guest for our Wednesday. This one is Broman himself, the illustrious uh, genius behind everything that I do. This is my brother. um, yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself? Hi. So you said it was well, you introduce yourself. Except for the problem, like it came across, it was like laggy, so it's like so it was like ooh.
Oh man.
Yeah, hopefully the connection is a little bit better for you for the rest of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we're doing all right. If I drop out, I apologize. Just yell at me. Maybe I'll hear you. I'm in the middle of nowhere, so you don't
He's
have to be
in yeah,
loud.
yeah. Yeah. Really loud. Even if you're his neighbor, I mean, you have to be really loud. That's kinda how it is when you live out in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah, he must be yeah, that's right. He's razor sharp because his internet is cutting. He's just cutting right through the fabrics of the internet. Um, so anyways, yeah, this is the show where we talk about whatever concerns or thoughts or worries or issues you might be experiencing. Um, and we tell you to don't. And so we're of course not professional psychiatrists, psychologists, police officers, golfers. There's a lot of things that we're not professional of. In fact, we're very professionals of a very few things. But we hope that we can give you some advice, some aid in whatever you're going through. And, just as friends, we'd like to encourage you. A lot of times you already know how to solve your issues. But sometimes having a second perspective on something can really give you new ideas or just kind of make you feel like, yeah, I got this. I can do this. Um, so that's what we're here to do for you. So golfers, like golf play yeah, that's what I meant. Like, yep, I was talking
Yes.
about
I wish I was a chef.
a chef? Oh my. I think that could we don't get paid to cook. So then no. Nope. Why do you wish you were a chef? So you could cook
Because
good
then I
food?
can make good food all the time instead of
Ah,
experimental food
dude,
that
experimental food is
merely
good.
be good.
Those pork chops are awesome, dude. Those are a hit.
Yeah.
You know how to do it, man. Um, Anyhow, I like to experiment with food. I'm glad I'm not a professional chef because I like to experiment with food. Um, just throw things together and I'd be like, "I made this. Let's eat it." And then I'm like, "Eh, I can eat it." Sometimes I've surprised myself. Sometimes I'm like, "Holy cow, this tastes actually really good." Um, but most of the time it's like, "What did I make?" Well, I'll eat it.
What's the weirdest thing that you've made that tasted awesome?
Hmm. Okay, so I make this thing. I think it turns out really good. You take chicken and you pan fry it in half and half with Frank's Red Hot sauce, and so you create like this creamy hot sauce, and then you fry up the meat in that. Um, and then when you're done cooking the meat all the way through, you add an egg. Um, and when the egg like hits the pan and you start mixing it around, it it mixes with the cream and it's kind of like scrambled eggs, but it's not at all. It's not that consistency. It kind of just takes all of the cream and it turns it into um a thicker product, you could say. And then you take that and you put it on bread and you eat that like that. You just eat it open on an open faced bread. And it turned out like super good. It was like really, really
Wow.
um
Is
you can
it on
maybe
toast or?
No, yeah, you can put it on toast or just untoasted bread. I think toast is better. Um, yeah, it's kind of like SOS in the way that you eat SOS.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know the other name for that, which is more appropriate, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like scrambled sauce. It's weird. It's a weird consistency, but it makes the sauce thicker so that it just stays on your bread and doesn't just kind of, get everywhere like water. Anyways, that's probably uh s- okay. SOS is like this
It's
peas and
like a chicken. It's like a chicken. It's like a almost like a chicken pot pie, but instead of in a pie, it's over toast.
there you go. That was a good way to define it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Um, so if anyone wants that recipe, you don't have to measure anything out. Just try it for yourself. You'll find out it's actually pretty good. At least I liked it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, SOS is great. I haven't had that in a long time. Um, and the reason
Nobody
I
remembers how to make it.
yeah, I know no one knows. Yeah, that's the problem. But I just remember it's a lot of peas, some kind of sauce. It was probably like a gravy made from like a chicken bouillon, and yeah, it was good. So SOS stands for like poop on a shingle. I'm not making that up. That's the legitimate name of this item, poop on a shingle, except for the S is obviously uh, the other word for poop. And I don't know why it's called that. It's called SOS instead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, why that? It doesn't look like that. I don't know who named it. Someone thought that they were funny, I guess. Um, and they named it that, which is unfortunate. But anyhow, yeah, Sacrament on a shingle. That's it. I appreciate
There
that
you
one.
go. It's like creeping on a
That's it.
shingle.
Sacrament. That almost sounds. Yeah, that's perfect. I like that version. That's way better. I'm gonna use that one from now on. Um, I do like that. So today we're working with a limited number of utilities here. The website is currently not open to us because it's been being withheld by the powers that be, namely Jesse. And no, he's in the middle of a move, so he's not able to get that connection up and going at the moment. So I don't have the website open to us to read those past issues that you guys have on there. Um, so we have one anonymous one that we can do. Other than that, we've got nothing. So if you guys want to just start worrying up a storm about something like right about now, that would be great. Because otherwise we don't have anything. Of course, you can send us an email if you want to be anonymous at dww@bss.studio, just like Princess. So I don't perfectly timingly put this. It's not even like English. Put this message for you to read. Or you can send it to our Discord, and that works too. But yeah, the website is unfortunately down.
And if you don't send us any questions, you might just have to listen to us talk about food.
Yeah, well, Jose has a great comment on that. He's worried that he's overcooked his potato, which is right on topic with food and worry. So well done, Jose. Um, yeah, I mean that's one of those things where you just have to keep an eye on it. Just look at it every once in a while and be like, okay, nope, that's not overcooked yet. Don't even. I guess that's not really how you check it because you're like, I'll wait till it's overcooked, then I'll say, now it's overcooked. Darn. Yeah. Maybe someone who's actually a chef can give you better advice on that one. And
I
stab your.
just poke it with a fork.
I was gonna say stab it with a fork. You should be able to check its tenderness that way, and then determine if it's soft enough. If it
But it
feels like.
depends on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You might want
Yeah,
it kind of hard.
yeah, that's true. Um, Question: is making overboiled potato hand grenades considered legal in USA? I don't know if that's necessarily I would say it's illegal to use them in most scenarios. It's probably not necessarily illegal by its own, right? I mean, you're probably allowed to make them and then like do party tricks with them, but probably not allowed to use them destructively. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the law. I just try to uphold it. Do you know if that's an issue, Kyle? Explosives? Are all explosives illegal?
Well,
don't
I
think
mean,
so.
if it's made out of strictly just potato, and the explosion is just the potato getting smashed everywhere, I mean,
Um,
I think it just depends on where you use it. I don't think you could legally use it, you know,
mhm.
in a movie theater or something.
unless unless it's like you're the stage act. But yeah, that's
But if you want to throw it in your own kitchen,
yeah. Okay, so actually we have a question from Tef, and I know we also have an
we
anonymous
do.
one. So you know what? Um oh yeah, and Tef has another one. Okay. So let's go back and forth then. We'll do Tef's first one, and then we'll go to anonymous, and then we'll do Tef's second one. Thanks, Tef. You're amazing, dude.
Sounds good.
I love you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into it. Uh, Tef Banau says, question: how can one best handle a second date? For to be honest, I'm really glad that I'm not the one that's answering this first. And I'm also really interested because my brother's about to answer it first. Uh, and kind of want to see where that goes. But yeah, how does one best handle a second date? And Tep, are you about to go on a second date here, buddy? That sounds awesome. You're a classy looking dude. Do you have orange hair right now? Because I love your orange hair when you have it that way. Um, yeah, this is a fun question. I like this one. But it's also one of those questions where it's not fun for the other person because they're like freaking out inside. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Like I'm so worried," and I totally get it. So that's kind of our emotions do that to us. So anyhow, without further ado, our special guest for this evening, Kyle, go for it.
Yeah, sure. I think we're gonna get a lot of questions if we get them short like this, because we got another one already. How do we even go on a find a date? Coming in from Jose.
Yeah. How do you find a date
So,
and do the second
you
one?
know, yeah. Okay, so how do you best handle a second date?
You have one this
Hmm,
Saturday, maybe.
maybe I have a second. It might end up being a third if you can squeeze one in the middle.
That's what you're tagging the maybe onto. The second part. Nice. Nice.
um, no, that's congratulations. That's fantastic. Yeah, so dating is a funny thing. Um, there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of opinions on dating, but as far if it's I guess if you're going on a second date, you can relax a little bit, right? Because you've made it past the first date. So that's,
That's
if you're going again, that's it's a pretty good sign right there. But I guess I don't really know, without a whole lot of context. I guess I'll just give you some general, I mean, things. But first, I'm going to tell you about me. I've only dated one person. Okay. And we got married. So I'm not,
that should tell you like he knows his stuff, but I
I've
guess
got
we'll
a
find
very small sample here. But what I would say is don't worry about trying to take things to the next level. Just worry about having a good time and being friends. Um, you could say they weren't up for squishing in between having another date, huh?
Ah, bummer.
Ah.
Ah, nice. I like that smirk smile face. That's perfect right there.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, if you get past the first date, the hard part's done. Now it's just, don't try to be someone you're not. Be honest, just have fun, have a good time. You know, don't be concerned with moving the relationship forward. If you just have fun and you're able to have fun around them, it'll move forward naturally.
Hmm.
You don't need to don't try and make stuff happen. That's I guess, just let it happen. That'll be more natural for everybody. I guess that would be. I don't know what else to say.
Mm.
Quick
It's gonna
question, quick question, quick answer.
quick question, quick answer. I get it. That's one of those things where I would have to agree. It's kind of like don't try to impress her.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. And in fact, the thing that you can do that can impress people the most is not trying to impress. Um, Rather, one of the most impressive things that you can do is focus on them and show them that you're impressed with them. Not that you're trying to impress them yourself, but just be impressed with who they are. Celebrate the good sides of them and compliment them and things like that. But yeah, don't go out of your way to try to, you know, juggle or something, show that you're good at juggling, things like that.
Yeah. And be a good listener.
Be a good listener. Yeah.
So yeah. But I mean, if
That.
you already got through the first one, I think you got this. Just be yourself and just don't try to pretend. You'll be
hmm
awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things because if you pretend, right, and you pretend your way through like a bunch of dates, and then you guys like decide, hey, let's get married, and then they find out you're not that person that you were, trying to be, right? You aren't always that kind of person that's always impressive. Um, you're not always the person um, finding every single spot to tell a really good joke or whatever. Um, I think if you be natural with yourself, you're more likely to find the person that wants you as you are. And I think that's a good thing. If you already made it with your one day, like Kyle said, I think that's a telltale sign that you're doing things right. Do the first date over again. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Do
I mean, if the
exactly.
first date was fun, just do that again.
Yeah, just do that
You know.
again. Yeah. Um, you know, I think one of the things that I could say is this: try to identify their love language, um, because if you can figure out how they most feel appreciated, like, okay, what I mean by this is there's multiple ways that we love people, right? We do it through physical action, like hugs, patting people on the shoulder, etc. Um, and body language and things like that. Then there's another thing which is words. How maybe she feels most loved when you affirm her or give her um, helpful words. Your conversation skills are the most important thing to her. That's how she feels loved. Maybe it's quality time. Maybe she just really likes spending time with people. If that's what makes her feel loved most, make sure you do that. Another one is gifts. Some people really appreciate gifts. It doesn't have to be expensive, just has to be thoughtful. Like, hey, I was thinking about you. That's why I picked up this rose when I walked by in my neighbor's garden and I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna take that. No, okay, maybe don't do illegal things. Don't steal for your loved ones, all right, guys. But gifts are important. And for some people really like that. And the last one is acts of service. So if they're in school, you can help them with their homework, or if they've got some kind of chore or something they have to do, like go shopping or whatever, ask to help them do that. That can make them feel loved. I
Or
think.
open the door to the car.
Oh, open the door of the car. Yeah, there you go. Stuff like that it's not really like you're not being yourself. It's more like you're trying hard to do the things that will make them happy.
Mhm.
Because there's a difference between trying to impress somebody to show them that you're awesome and trying to go out of your way to make someone else feel better, or feel more appreciated or feel loved. So if you just really focus on her and figure out what does she respond most to, how does she share her affection with you, um, and then take that and try to step um, that type of action up. Try to do more of that. Try to, if it seems like she's um, really um, really responds well to kind words, or her words are always being really nice towards you, like trying to pick you up or whatever, and that's a good telltale sign that words are really important to her. So make sure you are speaking those words that affect her affectionately and things like that. If she
Yep.
gets you a gift,
And if you,
that's another sign there.
yeah, and if you find what Ryan's talking about might be helpful, take a look at that link Princess Yellow just popped out there. That's exactly the
Oh, okay.
material Ryan's talking about. So you could check that out. Should be awesome.
Yeah. All right. So what do we go like to the next one? To the is that all good? We good? I think it was a good response.
I think we're good.
All right. Um yeah, that's the five love languages exactly. That's a good book. It's not necessarily for people who are dating, it's for people who are married, but you can also use it in your dating world too. Why not?
Yeah.
Um
Or your friends.
or your friends. Yeah, that's right, because it's important to make sure your friends feel loved too. That's true. Um okay, so then we got an anonymous one. Um let me locate it here. All right. Um so this one reads as follows. This was actually pretty old, and I forgot to add it. So I guess that's convenient because now it means we get to do it today. Um, so, anyways, it reads like this. Today, I learned my brother has been struggling with depression. He's been treating it since 2 years now, and I'm trying my best to cope with these news. I gave him a smile. I assured him I'm more than accepting that he's struggling with that, and I wanted to make him feel like I love him. So, I had a stupid idea and want to write a song, but I don't know how to get to it. And I don't know how to do it. So, darn, that's going to be so awkward. Just want to gift him something at least genuine if I can get him anything else that could be special. Um, and music is the one thing I know me and him, have in between that I love and want to share. Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's all of it. um, so basically, you're struggling, or your brother is struggling, and you want to show him that you care and love for him, so that he can feel appreciated, feel loved, and hopefully work his way out of depression, and let him know that you're there for him. Um, Lift his spirits a little bit. You're thinking maybe make writing a song for him, and because that's something you guys share together, which is cool. Um, but yeah, how would you go about dealing with something like this, Kyle?
Well, it's kind of a two-part thing here. So the first thing I want to touch on, I think you're exactly on the right track, that you want him to know that you're there for him and that you love him. And I think that's, if you're trying to do that, it will happen. Right? If you're making a conscious effort, I think, and you can again, it sort of applies what we just talked about a little bit with the five love languages. You can kind of go in there and that link and take the test, kind of keep in mind your brother, and then you should be able to hopefully figure out what he might respond to, and then you can find things that you can kind of do to help with that there, so that you'll know what will make him feel loved. So for example, not everybody likes getting gifts all the time, right? And so actually a lot of people don't like getting gifts all the time. But somebody who does like getting gifts all the time, they usually give out a lot of gifts. So you can kind of look and see what he's doing and see what he might be looking for. If one thing about gifts people is because they're sort of the minority, um, they don't often have enough people getting them gifts so that they can feel. And gift doesn't have to be something expensive. It could be something small, a card, whatever. But yeah, again, that would be a good way to find out. I think what a good way to show him love would be. Now, as far as the song thing goes, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I remember Ryan wrote me a song one time when I went away for a month to a summer camp, and I came back and he was like, "Hey, I wrote this song," and it was awesome, because I could really tell that he had really missed having me around and stuff. It was really really cool. We were in high school at the time, so it was just, you don't.
It's kind of like the thought that counts because the song wasn't that great.
Yeah, I don't even honestly, if I'm honest, I don't remember the song at all.
Me neither.
But it was just so cool that he did it, and you don't always, when you're siblings or whatever, you don't always say the right things or even say anything at all to show each other that you care about each other, or you get used to each other, so you might not say things anymore or whatever. And that was just really cool because it was something different. It was like, oh my gosh, he really went out of the way, and he did this, and it was really really cool. And so I think, and it didn't have to be good, and I don't think it was. It was maybe the second song he ever wrote in his life.
Yeah. Probably.
Maybe the third. And it was like, and he did it, if I remember correctly, just on a little like 18 key, like little keyboard thing, right? Little electronic keyboard. You just played and then came up with some lyrics and stuff. It doesn't have to be. I think it's at some point, and especially if it's your first song, it's really going to be the thought that counts, and how much work and effort you put into it. He'll be able to see that, to recognize that. So yeah, I think I wouldn't worry too much about it sounding good or anything like that. I think you just do something nice. I think that would be awesome.
Nice.
So
Anything else?
yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay. No, that was really great. And yeah, I think that just like Kyle said, kind of tying in the last topic, 5 love languages, you've surprised me before, Anonymous, um, about reading books and stuff. So I know that you might have even read this book before, but yeah, it's a good book to determine, help figure out how to show people affection, show people that you love them, lift their spirits up, and utilize your actions to the best of your ability. Sometimes, just like Kyle said, you don't, you might, you might be putting your effort somewhere where they're not going to receive it. And so you get into a relationship where you have a husband and a wife, right? Just as an example. And the husband never figures out that his wife likes gifts. She always gets him gifts and he always feels awkward because he's like not the kind of person that wants to receive gifts, but she's always doing it. So he's just like, okay, yeah, that's just how what she does. That's who she is. But he never does it in return. So after like 2 years, they've been married, and she feels like he doesn't appreciate her at all, because she's never received anything from him, and he feels like she doesn't appreciate him at all because she's been speaking this weird love language of gifts, and it's like, I don't know why you're getting me things, like that doesn't make me feel better, right? And so sometimes that can happen in our friendships too.
Mhm.
Um, so it's important to really try to focus on the person and see what are they doing for me to show their affection, and can I return that? Can I do that type of action for them? Um, but a lot of times, certain things, like for example, if you're going to write a song for somebody, um, I don't think I don't think anyone is going to necessarily feel unloved. Like, oh, that was weird that they did that. Like that, if it's your brother, like for example, if it's a girl and you write a song for her, she might be like, "This dude's trying to me? Like, what? I don't even know what to do now. Wow, that's so awkward and gross." Like, but because it's your brother, you're not gonna get that, right? Um, and so that's totally it's totally different. Um, and so I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. You know, I think my brother brought up a good example because we didn't have like the technology to record stuff back then. Like that's not really like a thing. I mean, you could, but I didn't have a microphone.
Would have been super expensive.
Yeah, it would have been that would have been a costly thing. um, yeah, I didn't have a microphone. I had a keyboard.
You
That's
could have
it.
recorded onto like a Walkman,
Yeah, but how am I gonna do that?
like on Home Alone.
No, he used a device that records
Yeah,
though.
but those were not. You could have done that. That wasn't that expensive. If you like, I think we
Okay.
had one of
Yeah, but they only record like 20 seconds.
those.
Yeah, but yeah, I recorded a 20-second song for you. Listen to it. Yeah. No, yeah, it's fair. Well, plus there's the added tension of like having to perform it,
Yeah.
which is also um not easy to do for anybody. Um when it's something like that. And it's an intimate thing. So
Mhm.
I think it's a good idea. If you can play the piano or play an instrument like a guitar or whatever and sing, I think that a live performance would be a better thing than a recorded. Um, however, and I don't mean live performances like hype it up and make it like you're on a stage and do no, just do it in a normal bedroom setting, right? But I mean, honestly, if you wanted to go as far as to record everything, get it down on the computer so they could listen to it over and over or whatever, that's cool too. It's just it's a different kind of art almost. Um, but yeah, I could help you work on that if you wanted there. Um,
And
but
there's some great free tools that you can get free. They call them digital audio workstations
mm,
uh, that you can get that'll help you that you can kind of put stuff into if you wanted to go the computer route.
mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And the last thing I was gonna say is I recently saw this in an anime, but I thought it was actually really well done, really thoughtful. Um, this particular person made a clay sculpture, and I realized that's actually not too hard. Um, it's not easy to work clay into a sculpture, but but it's something you can put like a lot of time and focus into. And anybody can find clay. You can go to an art place and just say, "Hey, you guys have clay?" And they will find it for you, and then you can make a sculpture, right? And then you can bake it or whatever to settle in. You can do Google research or whatever and find out how to do it. But that's another option for you. Make a clay figure and paint it. That's not something that takes like 10 seconds, right? That's another thing that would take effort and thought and time. And I think that again, that's what counts. It shows that your affection is more than just um, a thought like that you had that took 2 seconds to think. It's like I had a thought and then I worked on this for like 15 hours before it was completed, and so then I now you can have this, right? So um, yeah, I think anything that you do that's sincere is helpful. Um, but yeah, mostly just be with them, be there for them. If they're going through depression or whatever, and then they need that reassurance of themselves. A lot of times, depression is when you hate yourself. I mean, pretty much all the time. Depression is when you don't like yourself. Because I mean, if it's not, you don't like yourself now because you're depressed and you're like, "Dang it, I'm the one depressed, and I feel like I'm doing nothing. And it stinks." And then you don't like yourself for that. Anyways, most of the time, people are suffering from depression because they don't like themselves, right? Um, so really, you have to get them through that mentality. And if you can show them that you like them, that's one step
Mhm.
moving forward to help them like themselves. Um,
Mhm.
Cool. I don't know who Lane. I'm sorry. I don't know who Lane Anonymous is either. I just kind of got this message through Discord through some Lane Anonymous person. So, um, yeah. Hopefully they appreciate the comment. And yeah, for sure. You know, this Lane Anonymous person, like, sorry for calling him that. Originally, their original message that they sent to me didn't ask to be anonymous, so I forgot about that until like recently after I started saying like the first part of their name, which is Wu, and that just turned into Lane Anonymous. So there you go.
Could be anybody.
Yeah, Leon, um, um, Leodore. That's a name I just made up, but that could be some. I bet you there's someone out there who has these Leodora as their screen name. I don't know why you're spelling it Lay. It looks so close to your name. Maybe it's like Lanonymous, because then it's French. Don't pretend it's you, Lay, because that's weird. Like you can't just be like, "Hey, that's me." You're taking someone else's spot. Like it's like me saying I'm Kyle. It's like me doing this. Hi, I'm Kyle. I just switched the cameras around. I don't know. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. You might have to figure out how to fix that. Hey, what's up? That's how Kyle talks. He always says, "What's up?" in his deeper voice. Hey, what's up? That's how Kyle sounds. Okay, so anyways, hopefully that answers the. I mean, I went into more detail than I probably needed to, but and I'm also just repeated everything Kyle said. But yeah, no, that's cool. Did you have anything you want to add on to that, Kyle?
No, I don't think so. And I think this next question, if we want to jump back to the other one, it sort of kind of runs together, so we can kind of so we can.
Yeah, it does. So again, from Tef Banau, the question is, how can one help a friend without forcing help on them? Well, without force help on them. I think that means without forcing help on them, or without being forceful, basically. And that's a good question. It is an interesting and delicate thing to help friends, especially when down, and being forceful can make them feel worse. It can make them feel stressed out, but knowing that you're trying to help them, because then that makes them feel like you're noticing their flaws and stuff, and that doesn't feel good to anybody. So yeah, I can do that for you. Anyways, yeah, what are your thoughts, Cal?
Yeah, so I mean, if somebody doesn't want help, then there's not a whole lot that I can think of that can be done, right? If somebody's really really doesn't want help, like for example, I have one of my daughters once in a while gets it in her head that she wants to do it by herself, whatever it is. Could be putting a shoe on, and it could be giving her a lot of trouble. And if I want to go, and there's nothing I can do, right? Because if I go to help her put that shoe on, like end of the world type screaming. She's, you know, 4. So, it's like there's nothing. You just have to let them sit there and struggle with it. Now that's just a kid, right? Adults are different, but it's still sort of the same. If someone really wants to do something on their own, they want help. They might just get in a big fight to stay in that struggle for whatever reason. And so if that's the case, you have to figure out a way to help them without them knowing that you're helping them, by making them think that they're doing it all. And that sounds complicated because it is. And I can't really give any specific, without having more knowledge on what's going on, any specific advice on it. But I would, it's help them to come up with their own ideas to get out of it. Maybe ask them questions. What do you think would happen if you did it this way? Or what, ask them questions that might give them an idea of how to help themselves if they really want to do it, help themselves. And that's a good way to not dive right in there too. Because if you're just asking questions, that just gets them to think. And maybe those thoughts are all they need, to move on, move ahead and get help to that next level, rather than jumping in there and get out of the way, I'm doing this for you. Extreme. But if it's just you want to help somebody, but you don't want them to feel like they need help, if that's kind of the angle where you want to give someone a hand, but you don't want them to feel like you feel bad for them, right? And that I don't know if that, hopefully I said that in the right way. Then the same kind of a thing. You can do that by subtly asking questions. I think in a similar fashion, just to help them sort of get to thinking in the right way. A lot of times when people need help, it's in their thoughts. But if it's a help, like someone's trying to move a 5,000 pound rock and they don't have anything but their hands, and they won't let you help, I mean, there's really nothing you can do. So, yeah. And sometimes people really want help. They just won't admit it. And so you helping them, even though they might get mad, they really appreciate it. As weird as that sounds. So it just sort of depends on the situation. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting when people don't want help. Um, I I'm a very forward guy when it comes to my intentions and speaking them out so that nobody gets the wrong idea. Um, I think that's probably uh, one of uh, one of the best things I ever learned how to do with people. Um, Sometimes, like, okay, let's use that last example. They're trying to move like a 5,000 pound rock, or what was 500 or 5,000? I don't know. And it's like
That was
5,000, yeah, 5,000 pound rock, and they're like, "Don't help me, I don't want help." It's like, okay, first of all, I can't move that with you either. I mean, that's impossible. But regardless, it's like it is. If we both worked hard enough together, we could do it, right? Um, or it could be something like, I have the tools to make this happen, right? Then what I would do is like, be like, "Hey, I understand you don't want my help. I'm okay. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just gonna leave these tools with you. Don't hate me. And just you can use them if you want. All right, and then leave. And just walk away, and then see if they use them. And that's probably how I would go about that situation. If they didn't want my help, but I knew I could help them if I gave them the right tools. Um, then they can help themselves and figure it out. But yeah, anyways, I think that one of the most important things when it comes to helping people, like Kyle said, a lot of times it's just in their head. Whatever's going on, it's thought based. Um, And helping them a lot of times, like I said earlier, and like Kyle said, helping them makes them notice that you're noticing their bad side. The thing that they're ashamed of is what you're focusing on. And that's really, really painful for most people, because you try to help them, but in order to help them, you point out their flaws, and then that makes them feel worse and want your help even less. So, um, instead, what I would do is this: the best way to help someone a lot of times is to not worry about helping them through their problems, but instead of focusing on their problems, right? Because we just talked about that. When you focus on their problems, it causes issues. Focus on the good parts of them.
Mhm.
And that's all you do. A lot of times, the best way to help someone is focus on their good sides and let them know that you appreciate them for all of that. And they'll work through their problems themselves a lot of times. They know they
Mhm.
have them and they don't want them, but they are struggling with them. And if they want help from you, they'll ask you most of the time, unless they're really shy. And so it doesn't hurt to offer sometimes, like say, hey, if you need any help with anything, let me know. You can talk to me about anything, like literally anything. I'm good with it. Um, Saying things like that is good, but
Mhm.
try not to focus on their problems. Don't let them know that you notice their problems. Um, Not that you have to hide that you notice them, but more so, if you have a friendship, the best thing you can do is be on their side and encouraging them. Um, and so make make your friendship like an adventure, um, if you will. If you are going on an adventure with somebody, right? Like, I don't know, pretend you're playing a video game, right? You're going into a fantasy world. You're going on an adventure, right? You're gonna slay some monsters or whatever, right? You're gonna go dungeon crawling. You're gonna go crawl through some caves and stuff, and hunt for meats and foods and want to eat it and everything. Um, so when you do that, right? You're going on it together. You're on each other's side. You're fighting in combat together. You're with each other, right? Um, and you're fighting. Why? Because there's hope, not because there's despair. You're fighting together to achieve something, right? And that's how friendship should be. You both work together to achieve something. And a lot of times that thing is just joy. Friendship is usually just based around joy, happiness, entertainment around each other. So just focus on being a friend like that. If
Mhm.
you're in a party together, right? If you're like dungeon crawling, right? But you keep on stopping the party like from moving forward by saying things like, "Hey, you've got this problem and I want to help you with it," because you're like, like you keep on doing this thing, like you keep on pushing everybody away or whatever. Like they know they're doing it. Like, hey, we were just in combat and you got like way cut up. And they're like, I know, I hate that because you're like way better than me at this game, and I hate this. It's like if you bring that part out of them, it doesn't feel like you're fighting together. It feels like a competition. Um, and you don't want that. It's a weird example, but I think you get what I'm saying. A lot of times, the best way to help somebody is to focus on all of their good sides and keep on bringing that out of them, and let them get better themselves. Um, they'll come to you when they need you for something. I think that's probably the best way. Um,
Yeah, I think, in the same, maybe another way to say it is, in most relationships, and by most, I mean literally almost all relationships, there is no such thing as constructive criticism.
that's yeah.
There is only criticism. Most relationships just can't handle it.
There are a
Um,
few, but
there are a few that can, but most can't. And a lot of it, it has to be very high self-esteem people, not high big ego, but very high self-esteem who can handle that. And
that's
so, um, but encouragement encouragement can move everything forward. Encouragement gives people the confidence to go ahead and boost that self-esteem so they can battle those faults.
Yeah,
And they know what they pretty much know what their faults are. Everybody does. So for the most part, I mean, we all have blind spots that we don't know. And one, and once in a while they'll get pointed out, and then I usually freak out and go into denial, but deep down I know, right? And so I'm sure, that's a lot of people have a similar experience. So
yeah. I think that before you can get to those blind spots, you need to actually like yourself first. Like, if you're dealing with somebody who needs help to the point where like they don't like themselves, they have a low self-esteem, and a lot of people in our world today are suffering from low self-esteem, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's best to just kind of treat everybody like they have a low self-esteem, as terrible as that is. Just because you have to be so cautious. And if you find out, hey, they've got a high self-esteem, then you can treat them like
Right.
it's okay to tell them like, hey, so we were just back there and I noticed that you're holding your dagger differently than I would. And I'm just curious, why are you holding it that way? Like as an example, like to going on an adventure. Like if people are really self-conscious, the comment like that is like they think I'm an idiot. They don't, whatever, right? But if they've got self-esteem, they're gonna be like, huh, okay, I hold it like this because that's how it was trained to. Is there a better way? It's a different response because they don't feel emotionally attacked. And so, yeah, the way you said it was perfect. Because yeah, self-esteem plays a big role in how you can, whether you can actually confront somebody or not, or rather, whether you should. But yeah, yep, cool.
Again, if they're just trying to move a big boulder, I mean, sometimes you don't need to ask. I mean, if it's something like that, like they're carrying something heavy, just go help them out. And if
Yeah,
they tell you to go away, then go away.
that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if this is like a physical help act, like you're on a farm or something, and you're just like, you just help them. Don't ask, just help somebody. And then if they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, get away, exactly, just all right, I'll do something else. Don't let it get to you.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we're good on that one.
Yeah. Yep. I think so. Yeah.
All
Apparently,
right.
apparently, we need to switch spots still, though. Could you disable your video and put it back up? Good
How's
job.
that?
Hey.
Okay, we already answered Master Lay's question about overruled potato hand grenades, I think.
Yeah. Apparently,
Um,
it's 100% legal. So it is legal. Legal. Seabass, how you
oh,
doing?
Princess Yellow had a question. She said,
Oh.
"How are you doing, C?" I can't answer that.
I can, but I won't. Are you wondering what I was going to say about you? See, huh? Huh? I will let you know. Moving on. No, they're doing pretty great. They're a pretty awesome person. So yeah, they're definitely pretty great. um, cool. Do we have any more questions? Anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about? I mean, anything's fine at this point. We've got time, and we've got we've got that. We've got time. How do you guys even grow hair that fast?
Yeah, so who?
Who's you guys? Kyle?
Oh, because we swapped.
Oh, because we swapped. Yeah, now that makes sense. Yeah,
Oh,
and
was there another question from? I missed it.
no, nothing.
Jose?
Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. Jose
Donut?
had a question. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Thanks. Jose's
How do you
question.
even go and find a date? That one?
Yeah. How do you even go and find a date? That's great. That's it. Yep. That was it. It was not like it was, I suppose that's a sincere question.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Um,
Do we
man,
have
I
any?
don't know.
You don't know. All right, here's what
I
I'll
don't
say
know.
to you, Jose. Here's what I'll say to you. Okay. So when it comes to romance, I would say the first thing is don't get involved. Secondly, no, don't do it. No, it's fine. It's a good thing. Don't go don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. These are lyrics. No. Okay. To answer,
About to get a copyright strike here.
huh?
About to get a copyright strike
Yeah,
here.
TLC. I'll give that. I'll put that name out there so that we don't. If you guys want to know the song, it's TLC. It's Waterfalls. It's a great song. Actually, is a pretty good song. The message behind it is actually pretty good. Surprisingly, for being pop culture music back in the day. Anyhow, so here's the thing. I would say don't go out of your way a lot of times searching for a romance. If you feel like you are in a place where you need a girlfriend, like I see people or a boyfriend, I see people say like, I need a girlfriend or I really
Later.
want to have a girlfriend. See ya. I really want to have a girlfriend. I really want to have a boyfriend. And I get it. But a lot of times if you're in that position, you're not necessarily ready for it. Um, Now it's okay not to be ready for it. Because you learn as you go. But if you are in a mental state where you need to have a girlfriend to be happy, or you need to have a boyfriend in order to be happy, I would say that would be the worst thing you could do for yourself is get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Um, because the whole point of a relationship is to help each other um, become stronger individuals, right? And um, if you're just bringing them down with your bad self, you know, it's not good for them, and it's not good for you either because you're filling your emptiness inside with something that isn't real. It's an emotion inside of you that you feel that makes you feel like, oh, this person likes me, so I'm okay with myself now. But as soon as that person's not there to tell you that they like you, or you ask, or or, or they don't say they love you that day, you just feel depressed, and that's not good. Um, but I'm gonna assume that you're not in that position. I just putting that out there for anybody that's listening because that's something that I've seen a lot of people struggle with. Um, I want to just kind of put that out there. Not that anybody's gonna take that advice, because when you have that emotion, you're like, no, I'm gonna go after it no matter what. And it's like I'm not depressed anymore. Give it some time. You'll be there in a second. But anyways, uh, there's just it's just a lot of I see a lot of people like say like, "Oh, they complete me." You know, they make me happy. They bring me happiness in life. And I think that's sweet, but at the same time, it's also not healthy. It's not right, and it doesn't last that way. That's not how our brains work. Um, but moving on. Um, so how do you even get a date, right? Here's what I would say. My best suggestion is this: be the best you can be, whatever that is for you. For me, that that's um that's basically being God. I don't mean that I am God, but to be like God. To do my best to be um who God is. In his lovingness, in his kindness, and in his sincerity, in his gentleness, um, in his work ethic, you could say, in his outgoingness, um, trying to be the best person I can be attracts people who want me at my best. And that's good for me, right? And that's also good for them. So I would say, here's the thing. This is interesting. When you just try to be the best version of yourself, right? You start to get a little self-esteem and you start to notice people like you. And that's how you get a date. Trust me. It's as simple as that. I am serious. Um, at least that's how it is for me.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you be a good, yeah, you be a good person, you be a good friend,
Mhm.
and out of those friends, I think that's where that's where a lot of people, there's this whole like friend zone type myth thing,
Yeah.
and that's not really. I don't think that really exists. I think either maybe one party's interested or not, but and a lot of times it's just misunderstandings. I don't think you could ever be too good of a friend to be in a relationship with somebody that you could go on a date.
Yeah.
So just be a good friend, make some new friends.
Mhm. Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because um there are people out there who try to be like Kyle said, be a good person, right? Some people try to be a good person towards only one person
Mm,
because they
mm.
really like that person and they want that person to date them, right? And so they're really good towards that person, but maybe they kind of slack in their other places in life. Don't think that that person can't see that. Don't think that that doesn't affect who you are as a whole, as a real person. I'll tell you what. Most of the people that wanted to spend time with me and go on dates, which I never really did, um, because I had a girl, or when I don't have a girlfriend, none of these people are near me. Um, but you know, it's what attracted them to me wasn't me being kind to them necessarily. At first, they became interested because they saw I was kind to everybody else. And they felt like I could be someone who could be their friend. Um, they felt comfortable around me because I was comfortable with myself and I was comfortable being with them. I was comfortable being kind to anybody that I encountered. And that made them feel like they could approach me and I wouldn't turn them away. Like they could at least have a conversation at first. And from there, it progresses and opens up into something bigger, right? And I think that's probably the best advice I can give you is yeah, just be yourself, but be the best self. Focus on what kind of areas can you improve in, what kind of things can you do every single day, or what can you do to other people around you or for other people around you that that really incorporates that image of what the best you would be, and spend some time thinking about that. I think that's a good thing to think about. Like what what do I imagine is the best possible human being? Start working on that. Because you won't be unsatisfied. You might be like, okay, I can't actually reach that, and that's fine. But you won't be unsatisfied. You'll be very satisfied for whatever progress you make, even if it's not perfection, right? Because you feel like, oh man, I'm doing great, even if I'm not perfect. It's good. So yeah, just be attractive to people, and you'll get to go on dates. And you can be attractive to people by being yourself and being comfortable with being who you are. I think that's a big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question there, Jose.
Have a good one, Seabass.
Oh yeah. See you, Seabass. Enjoy your life. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So do you have any more questions from you guys? I would love that. Because at this point, we've got none. Which is okay. I mean, we can talk about food again. I mean, it's a thing. But we're here for Don't Worry Wednesday, so it's up to you guys. Okay, we got one from Princess Yellow. Perfect timing. Thank you, Princess. You saved us. Nice. Maybe. I'm reading through it right now. Actual question?
No.
No? Princess, why don't you ask a real question? No, this is a question. That's a real question.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah. No, that's a real question. Okay. It's like it's at the if it hasn't loaded for you, that's okay. It took a while for it to load for me. Like I noticed I was behind. You said bye to Seabass before that appeared to me. And I was like, where does he see that? She said goodbye. So I scrolled up and I scrolled back down and then it loaded. Or he, sorry, I don't know. Anyways, this is what Princess Yellow wrote. As for me, I'm working at my summer lab job and it's a wonderful place. But the weird thing is that it's full of college people. Oh, interesting. While I'm technically in college too, I'm not really like them. So mostly they talk about going out to drink and other things like drinking coffee that I have zero experience and zero interest in. I still want to connect with them, but I don't know what to talk about. Do you have any ideas? There you go.
Okay.
Were you able to did that comment eventually load for you?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Why you guys be mean? No, I'm sorry, Princess. We didn't. It's okay. Everything's okay now. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah, more casual stuff other than science. Yeah, because her job is I think did she say no, she didn't. Yeah, summer lab job. Yeah. She works, she's like a scientist. She works with like you could say doing research and stuff on AIDS. Well, actually, what is it called? Not AIDS, SIV, not HIVs, but SIVs, which is the same thing as an HIV, but monkeys. And yeah, genetics in this case.
Genetics. Okay. DNA. Okay. So, but you don't want to talk about that, right? Because that's what you do in class.
Yeah, that's like talking about work at work. We're talking about work after work, right?
Or whatever. Yeah. Or lab. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. It's a kind of a funny question. Really everybody has different interests. I'm absolutely terrible at this. I would rather just sit there next to somebody most of the time than actually carry on a conversation. But one thing that you can do is, just ask them what they're interested in. And even if you don't care about it so much, because either you don't have experience with it, because a lot of times we don't care about something, so we don't know about it yet. Or we don't know enough about it to get excited, or we've never had an excited person tell us about it. Like, for example, history. Most of us go through high school, and history is just this memorizing dates and names, and it's just kind of boring. Yeah. And then when you talk to somebody who's really into something about history, like they're really into, like a particular thing that happened, and they can start talking about it, and you kind of get a little excited. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. And I think a lot of things are like that. In college, kids, they have interesting things to say. There's a lot. They know. There's a lot going on. Everybody's got different interests. I mean, age really doesn't matter. It's not just college kids. I mean, you can talk to middle school kids, and they've got really interesting things that they can talk about. You could talk to your grandma, and they've got interesting things to talk about. And it's just about being interested in what you don't have to be interested in the same things to appreciate that they are interested in them. So, you know, just be interested in them. Ask them questions. What do they like to do? What do they. And then when they tell you they like riding a horse, ask why. you know, Ask why they like riding a horse, and then get them talking about it. If that's what they really like, they'll talk to you about it for like 2 hours. And by the time you're done, you'll, you'll have a pretty good idea of who they are. And you'll have made that connection, right? Because you have kind of met them, their passion. Just keep asking them. Find something that they like to talk about, and keep asking them about it. And it's okay. You're not going to look stupid asking questions. They're just going to be excited to be able to talk about it. So,
Yeah, I think a good phrase for that is, what got you interested in this?
mhm.
Or because that line, they might not know the answer right away. But if they think hard enough, they'll find a story. And through that story, you can live out that experience and become interested too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what you really need for somebody to do is when they're on about a subject you don't know anything about and you're not really that interested, if they can relate to you in story form, it changes everything, because then your brain kind of goes on an adventure with them through that. And it has something to grab at. And it feels like you're a part of their life more because you know that story. So it's a very good thing. It's a good line. um, Again, anything, but you could just say, can you tell me a story about it? But maybe ask them, like, what got you excited or what got you interested into this sort of thing? Because I don't really know anything about it. Saying something like that, they'll be like, oh, let's see. Well, I think I was in like third grade, and my grandma, she she you know she flipped me over in a boat, and she was like laughing at me, and so then I was like drowning, and then she realized I was drowning, so now I learned how to swim. It's like, okay. Like, I didn't know that story was going there. Sorry, guys. I didn't know where to take that from the beginning, but there we ended up. Yeah, grandma almost drowned me. Now I swim. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I think it's a good line. Um, and yeah, you said, and I could just be solo, right? But I've been slightly lovingly yelled at that I don't do enough with uh, IRL people or physical people in the physical realm. Uh, so I feel like it would be nice to maybe connect with work people. Yeah, that could be nice. Here's the thing. I think it's very much like what Kyle said. You don't have to be interested in a subject to let somebody else talk about it and become interested. Um, but if you want to find things that you guys share interests in, the only way you can do that is by talking to them about anything and everything. And eventually you'll stumble upon that one thing that you guys both have an interest in.
Yeah.
There are,
Congratulations on the graduation there.
oh
That's
yeah,
awesome.
congratulations. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Um, yeah.
Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
no, I think that's cool. Uh, but anyhow, yeah, like there are people that I didn't know I shared interests with in certain things until, we just talked about random things for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden they bring up something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like, yeah, like I think there was this person I was talking to for like, I think it was like probably a year and a half. And we were just talking about random stuff. And then they brought up this game, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you played that game? Oh, that's awesome! I played that game when I was a kid too." And then we just went on talking about that game for a while, right? The only way to find out if you have shared interests is just by talking about random things, and eventually things will come up. Um,
Mhm.
so I think maybe, um, you know, find ways to insert yourself into the group, and if they want to go out and drink coffee or something, go with it. Just be like, "Hey, can I join you? I don't drink coffee, um, but I've got some time. I wanted to hang out with you guys."
Yeah, you can drink a water.
Yeah, people would appreciate that, honestly. Um, and then try to just be yourself, make yourself at home with whatever comes. Um, you have no reason not to be confident in yourself. You're a pretty awesome person there, princess. And
Mm.
you're enjoyable to be around. So I wouldn't have anything to worry about. Um, just be yourself, and they'll appreciate what you bring to the table. If you guys go to a coffee table, if you go to like a bench, they'll appreciate what you bring to the bench. Um, so yeah, that's about all I have though. Do you have
Yeah.
anything you want to add?
No, I think that's, basically spot on. Ask them about them and then listen.
Hmm.
And, when they stop talking about themselves, ask them more about themselves.
Oh, make sure you point out what you find impressive every time.
Yes. And
Like when someone
yeah,
tells
I
me
mean,
a story, I'm always looking, not necessarily on purpose, but my mind knows to look. And I think if you haven't already trained your mind to do so, make sure you take a look at their story or whatever they're saying, or and find those things like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you do that. That's actually really impressive. Because like I know in my experience, I would have a hard time doing that. So it's okay to downplay yourself if you're up playing them. Um, but most of the time you don't have to downplay yourself. You just, tell them like, wow, that's really impressive that you would do that. I wouldn't even think to do that. That's a really good idea. Things like that.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and the nice thing about that too is you don't have to constantly be thinking about, oh, what am I going to say next? Because that makes it hard to pay attention to what they're saying, right? So if you can just kind of really focus on what they're saying and then ask why and keep asking them to dig deeper and tell you, they'll be happy to talk for a long time. And then you have another question says the real question is, what do you do when they want to know about you? Well, if they get to the point where they're asking you about you, then you know you've made the connection. And now
mm,
you're free to have a conversation about whatever feels natural,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, you know. And if they really want to know about you and you answer and it's like you only have one sentence to say about their question, they'll ask you another question if they really, but otherwise you can answer quick, if they say, where'd you grow up? And you say, oh, I grew up in, you know,
I know where, but maybe it's like
Pakistan.
strange.
Um, and
On the moon.
you know or but if someone just comes out and says, tell me about yourself, and like that's their question, then um I mean that's tough. I don't know how to answer that question either. I think you just
How to
deflect. I think you ask
okay.
them, I think you answer like with the two words, and then you ask them something more specific about themselves, um until they're ready to ask an actual question.
What was the question?
Just tell me about yourself.
Oh, just tell me about yourself. Yeah, that is always a weird question. I like when people ask that question because it's such a sorry, I shouldn't say it's a stupid question, but it's a really tell me about yourself. I love that question. I used to hate it. I'm like, of course that's a stupid question. How could but now I like to use it because it's so awkward. I love that. But I like when people ask me that question because I've learned how to answer that question on the spot. Like, it's not the same every time, but if someone's like, "So tell me about yourself," I'm just like, "Yeah, yeah." When I was 7 years old, I went, just like go off on some weird story that's like a random story. Like when I was 8, I wrote I think it was 8 years old or 7 years old. I was at my kitchen table and I was supposed to write a story. And I was not having it that day. I was so distracted. And it took me a half an hour. And I finally got like 2 sentences down. And it read as follows: One time I went to school in liquid only pulling. Um, and I remember that was a hilarious line that we had used throughout the house for months after that. It was Kyle, I'm sure Kyle remembers that line.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. It was
Yeah,
actually
that was pretty funny.
uh-huh. Um, yeah, so, like just random stories. If people tell you to tell them about yourself, you're like, yeah, yeah. What do you want to know? Okay, let's pick. The date was February 5th of 1992. Whatever.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a good kind of a good point, kind of hidden in there a little bit. And if someone asks a vague question like that, there's no reason to think that there's a specific answer they're looking for. And so we don't have to be overly concerned with giving the right answer, right? We can answer with whatever we want because that's kind of how open the question was. So,
or you can just be like, tell me about yourself and be like, hello, my name is, you say like Princess Yellow. I am 19 years old. I turn 20 in August 15th. I have a pony in my bathroom that I keep there because I think it's cute. I am, I have blonde hair. Like, point out features that they're looking at. I have blonde hair in classes, and you can see my hair does this thing. Also, I have teeth. They're nice. just tell them anything. Like things they know. It's all right because it's funny and it's fun, and it's how you build off of people. It's how you're just making an experience. When you're having conversations, when you're spending time with somebody, the point isn't to have a conversation. The point is to have an experience. So it doesn't matter where the conversation goes. If anything gets done, if any new information is relayed. Sometimes we have conversations that are like, we really had that exact conversation before. We learned nothing there. Like we talked for like 2 hours about the same thing, and we learned nothing because we were just agreeing the whole time and just reminiscing in our own like, yeah, I love that about this movie, right? We did nothing. That's not the point. You did do something, and that was you shared an experience. And so just share experiences with people. No, he's describing quite a bit about me. I'm sorry. The pony in the back. You don't have that? Oh, that's weird. I thought that's how I imagined you having a pony in the bathroom. No, just kidding. Right, but yeah, the point of a conversation, the point of any of that is to make an experience with people, to further your friendships and interact with humanoids. So
hominids.
That's right, hominids. So it doesn't matter how good the conversation is, as long as you guys are enjoying yourselves. And like I've said many times, if you want someone to like you, or you want to be good at dealing with people, hominid, but homonym is a word also. Anyways, what matters most is not how you look to others, but how others look to themselves when you're around them. So just treat people well, and they'll like you. They'll have a good time. Yep, there you go. Thanks, Princess. I appreciate everybody so far who's contributed to this exciting episode of Don't Worry Wednesday. Your guys' questions are greatly appreciated. And so, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Going out of your way to share these thoughts, concerns, or just random thoughts. It's totally cool. Yeah. You're welcome. Homonym is a word. That's right. It sure is. I'm glad that's going to be the one quote, like when I die, people are going to be like, oh, he had a lot of good things to say. Let's see what his quotes are. And they're like, homonym is a word. Homonym's a word. And they'll be like, wow, he's so thoughtful. That guy.
Sure.
It sure is. Why do we say sure instead of sure? We definitely should say sure. It sure is. Sure is. Is that your accent? In your accent, Princess, did they say sure instead of sure? I'm curious. Of all the words I know, homonym is definitely one of them. Actually, homonym is not one of the words I'll say I definitely know. its definition is very vague, and very hazy, I should say. Um, Kyle, what's homonym mean?
A homonym. It's a, I believe, it's a word that sounds like another one.
I think it's
I'm
close.
not
I think
sure.
it's pretty close. Um,
I'm not a linguist.
what? You're not a professional linguist?
I do talk sometimes.
Do you? I'm not. Win. Win. No, win is sometimes. Okay, homonym. Each of two or more words having the same spelling or pronunciation, but different meanings and origins. A Latin name which is identical to that of a different organism, the newer of the two names being invalid.
That second one sounds like what I just said.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so it's a word that's not. So actually, that's funny because we said hominid. She thought we said homonym, which would have been a homonym, kind of, except for we said hominid.
Sure.
Sure, you're gonna say sure. They've been talking about that word now. What? Swilk, all of your messages are being like, I don't know why, but all of your messages are being like canceled and we have to accept them. I don't know why. Homophone, yes. All right. Where has
It's
this?
probably because it might be because you might not be able to type homo.
Oh, you might not be able to type homo for homophone.
Yeah.
That's believable.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I guess there's not that many words with homo in it, so
That would be my. I'm
that's
guessing.
probably
Okay.
the best guess.
Anyway.
All right. Yeah. So does anybody else have any more questions? If not, we might just shut it down.
Any concerns?
Any concerns? Any thoughts? Anything you guys just want to talk about? Anything that's been on your mind for any of you? Something like, oh man, I'm wondering what I should do about my diet. You know, we're not dietitians. Wait, is that a word? We're not linguists. But yeah, I don't know. Anything? Anyone? Akil says. Yeah, anyone. Anyone is fine. Yeah. All right. You guys have 17 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. 18. Says Swilk. Oh. Yeah. Jesse, you got a question?
Okay.
If not, it's cool. No, that's all right. That's all right.
No. All right. So.
All right. I guess then that's it. It's all right. No problem. Sorry we couldn't give you guys more. Again, the website is currently down because oh wait, Frosty's got.
We got a question.
Anyways, the website is currently down because Jesse's in the middle of a move. So he's moving the server, which has caused the website to go down. So I apologize to any inconvenience that has caused anybody, and hopefully it'll be back up soon. Frost, I love you, man. Thanks for having a question or a concern. It says, I find it hard to talk to people. How do I feel more comfortable talking? That's a great question. And one that I think we both can relate to here. I know I can for sure. So anyways, what are your thoughts on this, Kyle?
Yeah. I think we kind of went over this a little bit with the previous question. But I guess it kind of depends on what part of talking to people is hard.
What's a good thing to identify?
Would be different for different people. Like, for example, I know some people who find it hard to talk to people because they are afraid they worry about what people would think about them. I know some people are afraid to talk to people just because they have anxiety issues in general. I know when I was younger, I didn't really like talking to people because I didn't really think that probably what I had to say was important enough to interrupt whatever they were doing. Which is a different thing than, I mean, there's so many different reasons why somebody can have, in order to kind of
myself, so yeah.
get to the bottom of it, sort of be, kind of why, ask yourself why is it hard to talk to people? And then once you know why it's hard, then we can talk about, or you can think through it yourself. Is that a justifiable reason, or is it something that is sort of I don't want to say made up, but maybe is making assumption that about other people that we don't know how they're going to react. We're just assuming how they're going to react. Is it if we can figure that, is it a self-esteem thing, and then then we can work on that. Sometimes it's as simple as if we're afraid people are going to look at us, okay, then is it really a big deal if somebody looks at me? Probably not. They probably were going to see me out of the corner of their eye anyway. And wonder why I was standing there. So if I say something, then same thing. So, it really kind of depends, I guess. But ask yourself why you're having the problem. And then when you identify that, I think then we can move forward in determining if there's a fix for that, or maybe maybe it's a totally legitimate thing. I mean, some people we shouldn't talk to. So it just depends.
They really a lot about how they sound to others. And I think that what I say isn't that important because I know I can be fine just not talking.
Okay, so it's like a combination of a few of those, of a couple of different things. And if you're fine not talking, then then you're fine, right? But if you want to have more relationship with some other people and talk to them and have them talk to you, then I think part of getting over worrying about how you sound to them is just to go ahead and do it anyways. Is if it's I guess this could be interpreted in a couple ways. So I'm assuming you mean that you might sound unintelligent. Is that what you're thinking, or or do you think your voice sounds weird? But if it's I would assume it's if most people would fall into the first category. And if so, that's I guess what I'm going to talk about. Most people aren't. I would think you're probably not giving yourself enough credit. There are things that that you're intelligent about that nobody else is around you, right? You're always going to be know more about something than somebody else does, right? And they're always going to know more about something else than you do. And if you enter a conversation and then they immediately point out something, or they think about how you're wrong about something or unintelligent or something like that, then you really, okay, that's a person that you really don't want to talk to anyways. There's right,
First thing they do is like, wow, you're stupid. You're like, wow.
right. I mean, what you've just done is you've identified a person that's not worth your time.
True. That's
Right.
true.
And so, call that an experiment where you got your results really quick. But in the normal course of most people aren't like that. Most people are going to be thinking about how they sound to you. And so I understand, kind of the feeling of worrying about, what if I say something that's wrong and then I have to go back and fix what I said, and I'm gonna look really weird, and words aren't gonna come out right. And yeah, most people don't care. The people that really matter, the people that we that we should want to impress will be the people that aren't going to really care if we mess up. The people that are trying to put us down and find the ways that we're messing up, it's not worth our time to impress them anyways. Because those people just need sort of a self-esteem boost themselves. That's what they're going for, right? If they're going to put you down for what you sound like, they're just trying to boost their own self-esteem. And so you can kind of know that, going in a situation, you could say whatever you want. If they react negatively, then all that does is tell you that they have a low self-esteem. It doesn't tell you anything about yourself, right? You don't need them to tell you about you, or how intelligent you are or what you sound like. Their response is only going to tell you about them. In 99.9% of cases, I guess that's, try not to worry about their response so much. I know it's tough, because we want to look good in front of our peers, and we want people to like us. But I think if you like other people and you show them how you like them, they'll like you anyway.
That's pretty true. Yeah. Thanks, Kyle. Absolutely. I don't really have a whole lot to add on to that. Frost, I've spoken to you a couple of times, and every time I notice you don't say a whole lot, and I have taken notice of that. Sorry, but I also am glad to hear you every time you do. Whenever you speak, I get a little bit excited because I feel like um, you always have something important to say. You always something to me. It's important because you're important as a person, and so whenever you speak, I listen. And it, I don't know what maybe you're dealing with. It might be if it's that you don't think you sound very smart or like intelligent or whatever. I wouldn't worry about that. You're plenty smart. And if you're worried about the sound of your voice, um, to me, you have a really soft voice, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. Um, and I think everybody has a different voice, and that's just how it is. No voice is not worth. You were given a voice, use it. All right. um, no voice is worth hiding. Um, you were given a voice for a reason, and you're meant to use it, right? Um, and so I would encourage you to do so. It's always, like I said, whenever you speak, I get excited because it's like finally I get to know a little bit more about this person. I know that we've known each other for a long time, but I haven't had a whole lot of conversations with you. I have had quite a few, but um, you know, uh, it's one of those things where it's like you always wish you could have more of a good thing. So don't be afraid of talking because in the eyes of anybody who cares about you, um, they want to hear everything that you have to say. They want to hear everything that's on your mind, um,
Mhm.
because they want to be a part of your life and they want to really get to know you. Um, and a lot of that way of which we communicate who we are to people is through our voices. Um, we communicate our thoughts through our actions and through our body language, but we also do it with our voices. Now, I like to add here that it's completely okay to be silent. If you have nothing to say, or if you just want to be around people and you don't really feel like you need to say anything, that's totally cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. There are certain people in the world that will tell you need to speak up more and so on, because they think it's awkward that you don't say much. But um, that's probably because they want to know you better. And it's not because being silent is a bad thing. Being silent is a good thing. And just like Kyle said earlier today, um, I don't know if you were here for it, but he was talking about um, being, you know, like just in next to somebody rather than talking to him, just being sitting, just sit there with the other person there. And that's all like, that's great. We don't need to talk, and that's the way I feel a lot too with certain people. Sometimes it's nice to have a conversation, but more often it's nice to just be with them, not necessarily even interacting, but whatever. Just if they're there, that's cool. That's nice. I don't care if they say anything to me. I don't have anything to say to them. I and I think a lot of times we get caught up in the situation where it's like we're walking down the street and there's a lull in the conversations, no one's saying anything, and it's like, man, this is so awkward. Well, no, it's not. It's not awkward at all. That's normal. We feel like it's awkward because I think we've somehow been trained in our minds to think that we always need to be having a conversation, but that's not the case. Like if you watch a movie, right, there's just constantly dialogue. And I think maybe that's why we get that feeling like, oh, we're with somebody, we need to be having a conversation, or else things are weird and awkward. Well, no, that the normal state of being is more silence than it is talking. Um, and it's completely okay if you just want to be quiet. Like, um, don't ever feel awkward. Someone might say it's awkward, like if you're hanging out with friends and you're all like you come to a lull in the conversation, no one has anything to say, and you're all just kind of staring into the blank space in your own thoughts, thinking your own things. And someone might be like, awkward, just be like, no, it's not awkward. We can think, this is normal. Because it happens all the time. So anyways, yeah. That's really all I've got to say. Um, don't really have anything to add on to what Kyle said because I think he's absolutely right. One of the best things you can do is ask yourself why. Why is this? I think that's gotten me through so much, pretty much everything. Why? Why, Ryan? Is that even healthy? Is that a good perspective? Is that good? Is that right? Am I just imagining things? Could I be imagining things? Asking myself and digging in and finding the solution. A lot of times the solution comes in finding out why. There are many times where it's like, oh, I'm just being insecure or oh, I'm just being selfish. Okay, problem solved. Don't be selfish. Done. Easy as that. Like there are so many times where it's like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like like everything's broken right now, everything stinks, or I'm going through this emotional battle inside, whatever. Um, and I just ask myself like why, and I dig down. I keep on asking myself why until I get the very bottom, the very root of the cause. And when I get there, I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had that problem before. Easy, got it. All right, move on. It's like as soon as you can get there, as soon as you have that, aha, that's what it is. It's over from there a lot of times. You figured out what the root is, and you don't even necessarily sometimes have to do anything. You just realize what it is, and you're like, oh, done. It's interesting how our minds work. Because we get so caught up in the moment of things a lot of times. So yeah, asking yourself why, like Kyle said earlier, is super important. It can solve most of your issues in life, for sure. And I'm sure you already do that. Um, as for one more thing I could say here, how do you get better at that? How do you get better at not asking yourself why, but how do you get better at talking to people? How do you get more comfortable? Ultimately, your question is, how do I feel more comfortable talking? Talk more. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. That's it. Do it more. Eventually, it'll get comfortable. Try to swing an axe. Try go outside sometime. If you have, you're probably not in a place where you can just cut a tree down. But imagine you need to cut a tree into like you're gonna create like logs for a firewood or fire pile, right? And you have an axe. You go grab that axe and you're like, you start swinging it. First of all, you pick it up and you're like, wow, this feels different. And then you go to swing it and you're like, wait, am I doing this right? Like that felt weird. Like, and it's pulling me around. And I was like, this is weird. Like, how do you use an axe? And then you like just use it and it's just awkward. It just doesn't feel comfortable until you do it for like a couple of hours, or maybe you go and you cut wood every single day of your life for like a week. You're like, then next thing you know, you're grabbing an axe like it's comfortable, like you're picking it up and you're just like swinging around your back, and you're just like, yeah, yeah, it's normal. Like I'm so used to this axe and its weight that it is 100% like comfortable in my body and in my hand and moving it around and the way that it moves my weight. Because, first of all, when you swing an axe, it moves you with it, right? But once you get comfortable with that, your muscles know exactly what to do at exact moments when the axe is at a certain point in time. It knows how to adjust. Like here, now it's like this. Your body knows to adjust like this. When it's like this, your body knows to adjust like this. You're like, your body becomes so attuned to that axe and becomes comfortable. And talking is the same way. Just talk more, and you'll get that comfort. And I understand it's like one of those things where you have to be uncomfortable first. But if you can get through that, you'll find comfort on the other side. Talk more. That's it.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
You're fantastic. Cool. Technically, we also have one from Akil. Did we? Did we get one from Akil? Wait, maybe he did. Maybe we didn't. Hold on. Did we?
He said nutritionist. I'm not sure what.
No.
No.
Did he delete his comment? Oh, no, 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 no. I keep getting my stories rejected by companies because of lack of background.
Oh,
So I can't start writing until I graduate. Uh,
interesting.
some people can make your day with only a nod and a wave. Okay. Okay, that's not part of the question. Yeah, okay, or concern. That's okay. So you are in school, um, college, I believe. You keep your stories that you're writing are getting rejected by companies because of a lack of background, and not a background in your story, a background in your education. So I can't start writing until I graduate. And I would say, don't limit yourself. I think that would be my first comment is there. Don't ever say I can't do it until I graduate. Start doing it now. Continue. Well, you're already doing it now, right? Continue writing those stories. Because here's the thing. One, you're only going to keep on getting better by doing that, right? That's important. But two, who's to say you can't turn those stories in after you graduate? Technically, that's acceptable. You'll say, hey, I've got my background now. Now check out my story. You turned it down before, or whatever. You turned it down before. I've made edits to it. Since I've graduated, I've learned a few more things that I can do to make the story a little bit better. Check through it again and see what you think. You can do things like that. So I would say don't stop all writing until you graduate. I would say keep on writing, and then when you graduate, here are two things I would say. Don't stop yourself from putting in Like, if go find a different company, right? If that one company doesn't accept your story, go to a different company, right? But then once you do graduate, then you can take all that work that you did before and resubmit it to all the companies you already went to before. Because now you say, hey, look, I graduated, I got my degree, etc. That would be my first um, kind of advice on that. And to encourage you, like, keep at it. Just keep at it because you're gonna be awesome. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot of detail about what kind of stories or what we're talking about here, but the publishing world is really weird, and
They're not from the United States, by the way, so that also plays a tie into it. It's really
yeah,
kind of
and so I
I
mean
know it is.
it might be even different than it might be even weirder than I'm familiar with, but at least in my experience, I mean I've known college professors who can't get anything published. And just because you're kind of waiting for that lucky break, and then once something's published, it's okay, now you can start publishing more because you've had something published. So one thing that I've heard some people do is they end up self-publishing, so put out a ebook, and maybe promote the heck out of it, and if you can distribute 1,000 copies of your ebook, now you have a background, right? You have done something you can show for that, look, this was successful, so here, look at this. And and that could be one way to break. Another thing is, and again, I'm not super familiar with the exact situation, but I mean, some things, the world has changed so much over the last, well, I guess ever since we've had the internet, and then there's older business models that still exist, publishing companies and this kind of thing, where we don't necessarily always need those particular folks. And Ryan kind of does this with his music, right? He could go and talk to a major label, a record label, or go on America's Got Talent or something, right? And there's all these different ways, more traditional ways that he can go and distribute his music. But he didn't have to, and he decided to go a different route, and he's kind of doing his own thing, and for however many reasons, but it's worked for him. And so I'd say my suggestion would be, don't necessarily hold yourself hostage to old ideas. If you're having trouble, if you think your stories are great, then put them out there without a publisher. Find some other way to get them out and promote them. I don't really know what's out there, but I'm sure Google could be a lot of help there. Or even just, I mean, we've got a pretty good community here. I mean, if you, you wrote something and you set it up so that it could be distributed, and just within, a word of mouth from, all of us here, we could, talk to other people about it, and spread it around. And, I don't know if that would help you or not with what you're doing, but it would at least be, maybe look at other avenues, I would say, just to get your name out there. And that'd be another way to gain that background. And also in the meantime, maybe you stumble upon something that works and you can make a living, make enough money just doing it a totally different way than what's been done before. And you don't have to worry about them anymore. You can just do what you want.
Yeah, very fair. That makes sense. And it's kind of an interesting thing because I'm not a writer. I don't know what's out there. I know there are websites for you can put your works up on. Of course, that's one of those things where it's like, well, if everybody can access it for free, then what you end up is with no money. But sometimes you can how do you say this? Instead of your reward for your work being monetary, your reward for your work is I don't want to use the word fame, but fame. Fan base. That's a better word for it. A fan base, right? And so then what you end up with the ability to do is you put out some work. Once people recognize you and they like your stuff, you can say, "Hey, look, I've got more stuff. Like there's more to this story." Uh,
Mhm.
and I would appreciate if you would buy some of my stuff. But you would be surprised at if people's willingness to support you. Um, if you put work into your talent, people will come.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been your experience too. I mean, with the first album that you guys did, it was put in some work, gave out a free song,
Mhm.
and then that turned into a whole big project, that they paid for. Um,
Yeah.
and the same thing. I mean, you
Care
put
to
a
explain? Care to share it? Care to share the story? No, go on.
well, we can. I mean, we can if you want to. We can go into more detail. I mean, it's not really that important for the,
Sure.
but um, and so that's kind of how BSS got started. Was Ryan? I asked Ryan to write a song, and then he did me that favor. And then when he was done, I said okay. And after it was done, I was like, "This is awesome. Let's send it to this guy. I think he would really like it." And so we sent it over there, free song, and he was basically like, "Wow, that's awesome. I want to pay you guys to make a whole album." You know, and so I mean that's how we all got kind of started, and the and we've kind of done that quite a Ryan's put a lot of free music out there, and I mean the community, you guys have been awesome. Just the amount of community that has been built around that is fantastic, and that not it's like Ryan doesn't do this for money, but there have been some monetary successes, and it's has been totally not traditional in any way whatsoever. Broke all the rules, pretty much. As far as how an artist is supposed to go get famous nowadays. Ryan's never been on tour. He's never played in local places. Like they say, all this kind of stuff that you're supposed to do, and um, this is not a part of it. And so I just, while there's value in these old systems and they work and they still work, don't just don't try not to get stuck that that's your only option. Sometimes you do something for free because it gets you into a position where the next thing you have now shown what you're capable of and how popular it is, and now you can get paid to do it.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So, or I mean, we're on YouTube, right? I mean, that's basically how every YouTube channel was built. People doing stuff for free until they get enough fan base where now they can,
Mhm.
do stuff. And it's just a sort of a new kind of a business model, right? And so not that you can continue to do free stuff forever, but you can at least do one free thing, right? Donate one thing to show how good it is and how much people would like it. And then once you do that, then you'll have people saying, "Hey, I'd like you to write this for me," or I'd like to put your piece in our, whatever." And that's kind of what you'd shoot for.
Uh, so the thing is, I kind of did something counterproductive to that. Used to co-write for a friend and a couple of other ghostwritings. Oh.
Mhm. Yes, that's an interesting thing too. I'm not quite sure how ghostwriting works. Um, is there a way, like if you're a ghostwriter, I don't know if there's a way for somebody to find you, like you're the one who wrote it. If not, then the advertising on that's kind of tough. Like, how do you use that to get your name out there? I'm not sure how that.
Yeah, here's the thing, Akil. Um, so Kyle was talking about how we got started. When we released our first album, we didn't tell anybody who we were on purpose. Um, and because we didn't want to be the show, right? We didn't want people, we didn't care for recognition, but it was more so we didn't want to be, um, put in a spot where it became about us, because we wrote that album for a business and for the people of that business. And we didn't want to steal any of the spotlight because we weren't working that business model. We were working our own business model within it, right? And we just felt like that would be wrong for us to try to take advantage of them and make ourselves famous, right? Out of their company. Um, and so because of that, we didn't put our information on there. So then we released a second album. Um, and that time we actually put our names on there, but we didn't put, well, we weren't allowed to put Black Static and Swerve on there, just because of the way the company's rules worked. But the change of heart was this: if our work is good and people want to find us so they can get more goodness in their lives, then we should give them a way to find us. So we stopped hiding our names and we started putting our names on our things, because not because we wanted the fame, but because we can at least give them something more if they come to us. And I think that's important. And so it's kind of like a change of, it's not necessarily a change of heart, but it's a change of understanding of what the name means. Um, and so what you can do is, I don't know how ghostwriting works. Like Kyle said, I have no idea. But if you continue to write on that sort of information, like you come out with with like a sequel to whatever that ghostwriting was. Maybe you wrote about a particular issue that was political or whatever, and you come out and you add to it, and then when you add to it, you say, like I put on my last document, which you can find here, blah 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 blah. And then come out with your real name at the end, and or whatever, right? And then people can connect the pieces if they want. Um, or maybe you wrote a story or part of a story or whatever. But that gives you the ability to connect your ghostwriting um, with your new uh, name, you could say, with actually putting yourself out there.
Right. Or maybe if you put out a second book or whatever with the same person as a ghostwriter, maybe you can then ask to be a co-author or
Mm,
something like that. Like, was that successful? If you really want me to do it again and, it went really well, then, can I be a co-author this time? That way, you get some sort of, maybe you don't take as much of a compensation, but your name's there now. So now you can have that under your listed as one of your accomplishments.
they care
Um,
more about your educational background than you think. Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're writing too. I know, if someone's, again, I don't know the specifics in different countries and different things like that, but um, I probably, if I'm going to read a scientific paper,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably want to read a paper by somebody who's actually in science and can show me that somehow that they've got the expertise there. They're not just saying random things. And so I could see where, there could be scenarios where the education level could be important. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, definitely just, if you can put stuff out there in unconventional ways, go for that. But in the meantime, don't stop writing. Um, you can always, again, once you get your degree, and then you've got a whole backlog of stuff you can send out right away, which could be, shotgun style, pretty cool. Another thing is, you don't want to you don't want to get rusty at the writing either. You want to continue to improve and get better. And I mean, if that's what you like doing, that's your passion, you should just be doing it anyways. So,
Yep. Okay. That's fair. Yeah. If you're stuck ghostwriting, then, well, maybe hold back and release them later when you've got that degree,
yeah.
or keep on releasing your ghostwriting, and then find a way to eventually reveal yourself once you graduate.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know if that might not be legal to sort of to do
oh,
that, but
yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because, first of all, obviously, who's going to believe you? But also, um, yeah, it's like it's just hard because you want to develop a fan base, so
Mhm.
that people know where to find you when they want more stuff from you. Because otherwise, as a ghostwriter, no one knows who you are. How are you going to How are you going to get that? You have to publish your works and hope that they pan out, and it's okay that nobody knows who the author is. That is tough. And so, yeah, yeah, and that's why I think Kyle's right. Finding unconventional ways, ways that get around the current system. Oh, you said you could get sued? Yeah. Oh, because of agreements. Yep. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Then I would not. Not just because of the legal being sued, but because you've already put your word of approval that you're not going to. Or you've. What's the
Yeah,
word?
you don't want to go back on your promise,
Yeah,
basically.
you've given your word. You don't want to go back in your promise. Yeah. Um. So, yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, try some more unconventional means, like utilize the internet and get stuff out there. But yeah, I think that's about all we've got. Unfortunately, we can't necessarily just 100% tackle or solve the issue, but we can give you some ideas, and hopefully you
Yeah.
can figure it out yourself. We're not in the
Well,
writers ourselves, so
yeah. Yeah, and keep being awesome over there. I know I'm not much of a writer, but I definitely respect
oh my god,
people who can do that. So
yeah, me too. It is tough.
I like to read. I like to be on the other end of
Yeah.
it.
I get it. I don't like either end. No. Uh, no, actually, I can read. I obviously I'm reading right now. I like reading chats that I'm having with people, so it's part of it. And you have to write for that, right? So I'm a writer. I write text to people. No, I actually am writing a story, and no, that's why I know it's not easy. It is hard. At least for me. Some people are really good at it, and that's awesome. I'm not one of those people. But putting the effort in is enjoyable too, even though,
Well,
uh,
you're writing like 4 stories right now, so
yeah, yep, that's how it is.
yeah,
Yeah, I hope it'll work out for you, Akil, as well. Um, your father is a bookworm, so I kind of am doing it for him. Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's
yeah,
so cool. Yeah, that's so cool. Well, all right. Thank you guys for being with us today. Thank you so much for coming up with questions for us on the spot, like you guys did, or concerns, or whatever you want to call them. We love you guys. And this will end our show.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Kyle, filling in for Joe while he was
Oh,
away.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. And thanks, Jesse, for producing. Thanks, Princess, for being our hostess and welcoming people in as they come. Um, and thank again everybody who asked a question. Thank you to all the people who wrote comments in the chat here to supply that entertainment, that quality entertainment, and and the help that you guys give to each other with your own advice, which is really helpful and appreciated. And thanks to the lurkers for joining in, for being a part of this, even if you said nothing. I think that's so cool.
Mhm.
Did I think? Yeah, thank you, Jesse. I think I said that, but I'm gonna say it again. Thanks for thanks for producing it, keeping us going live. All right, that's it for today. Have anything? Any final words? Nope.
Bye.
Bye. That's it. All right. See you guys.